In the months following the abduction of Helen by Paris, Prince of Troy, King Menelaus of Mycenaean Sparta gathered his allies and declared war against the Trojans, assembling the largest fleet to ever sail the Aegean, hellbent on conquering Troy and burning it to the ground for Paris' treachery. The legendary Achilles, however, seeks fame and renown over Menelaus' casus belli. While still promising to fight for Menelaus, he and his men broke off to race ahead of the main fleet, and as the sun races across the sky, the defenders of Troy witness a most unnerving sight. Achilles himself leading a band of his most loyal troops towards them, seeking a quick victory and an early beach landing on the shores in front of the city. Achilles himself stands taller than his troops, easily distinguishable in his golden armor. There's little doubt that he is favored by the gods, but what they have in store for him in this battle has yet to be seen. The troops he's chosen to fight by are some of the mightiest the Achaeans have to offer. He brought his unbreakable Myrmidon soldiers into the battle. The Myrmidon swordsmen are experts in flanking the enemy, with weapons able to pierce the heavy bronze plates of the Trojans, both necessary for the skirmish they're about to face. Their spear-fighting brethren have the ability of speed and an immunity to flanking, giving them the flexibility to be a frontline unit deep in the heat of battle, or play it more strategic and throw themselves into any holes of the enemy lines. Achilles is also joined by a coalition of fellow Achaeans and mercenaries. The Thessalians, masters of the sea with their forked spears, seek to get in quick with fast charges that provides a punch to enemy lines if an unorganized one. The Pythians, home of the Myrmidons themselves, have their heavy mace-wielding champions to fight next to the troops they aim to aspire to be, and while not Myrmidons yet, it does not mean they are weak or any less deadly. The mercenaries at Achilles' disposal shows the gravitas that he commands. Reinforced chariots, usually reserved for the nobility, should disrupt the battle lines of the enemy and break through their defenses on the battlefield. But an even more impressive unit has shown up on the side of the legendary hero, the savage centaur warriors, barbarians from the northern regions of Thrace. These nomadic tribesmen are so well trained in horse mastery that, combined with their brutish bullhorn helmets, seems as though rider and the horse are combined in a grotesque twist of nature, giving rise to the myth of the centaur. This landing party represents the most ambitious of troops, all following Achilles, and although outnumbered, their zeal for battle would make any ordinary defending army tremble at their tenacity. But Achilles faces no ordinary defender. Opposite of him on the battlefield stands Prince Hector, King Priam's oldest son and an epic hero in Homer's Iliad. He is Troy's defender, and the army around him is prepared to give their lives to keep Achilles from securing the beachhead. The Prince of Troy instills horror in the hearts of his foes, and similarly inspires a rising courage amongst his fellow countrymen. This is further bolstered by a confidence of superior numbers and heavier troops that have trained to hold the line, the personification of the very walls of Troy they will fight to defend. Hector too stands above the rest of his men as Achilles, clad also in the gold of heroes, albeit set apart by his royal purple attire and longer Trojan shield. His role is that of support rather than aggression, preferring to encourage and inspire, to plug up a hole in the battle lines instead of making one. Behind him are two of Troy's most elite troops. Hector's chosen, sword and shield infantry, handpicked by Prince Hector himself. They are his bodyguard and the embodiment of his tempered but more aggressive side of battle, excellent at attacking and versatile to boot. The champions of Troy are the flip side to Hector's chosen, very heavily armored and carrying the iconic figure of 8 shields of the Mycenaean era. This group of soldiers not only excels at holding the line in a fight, but utilizes their own ranged attack before the enemy crashes into them. The center is held by a solid line of renowned swordsmen, heavy swords designed specifically to hold their ground regardless of who or what is coming to fight them. And in front of them, unfazed by the army heading towards him, is the Minotaur. Clothed head to toe in the skin and skull of a bull, wielding a double-bladed axe, He is a daunting sight for the bravest of heroes, and he is ready to fight. This rogue warrior didn't have to pick sides in this conflict, but has offered his allegiance to Hector as he sees honor and duty more valuable than fame and glory. To the left and right, Trojan defenders and the guardians of Troy will hold the flanks, and though slow to move, the enemy will have a hard time getting through them. The last of Hector's defense lies with his more restless and offensive spear fighters. These two-handed spearmen do not have the armor or weapons to defend, but would rather charge into the enemy lines and attack. They are Hector's distraction, hoping that their aggression will cause Achilles to split his forces and deal with the threat that they are. Hector's forces are a wall, strong, steady, organized, and grounded. Achilles' men are the ocean, unpredictable, erratic, and overwhelming in their aggression. The first battle for Troy is about to begin. With the Achaeans making their first mass rush towards the defensive Trojan line, the ranged foreplay has started. Hector's archers have superior range and are safe behind their meatier fellow soldiers as they whittle away at Achilles' light troops. The Achaeans return fire with their more close-range javelin throwers, packing more of a punch than the archers and taking out a handful of the renowned swordsmen. On Hector's left flank, the spear fighters have spread out just in time to take on their Achaean counterparts, the Thessalians, going in for a flank to attempt a quick rout. Unfortunately for the spear fighters, who don't do well in extended melee, they are about to get charged by Myrmidon swordsmen, men that simply do not rout, but will fight to the death of every man in their unit. Hector's left flank is already breaking. Achilles chooses to push the bulk of his army to his center while trying to put pressure on his own left flank with mixed results. The center line of defenders takes the brunt fairly well, although it cannot last for long under the weight of Achilles' men. And while his left was able to engage the enemy, Achilles did not extend his flank far enough, and the plan backfires. And now 2 units of Trojan defenders have marched around, waiting for the right moment to fold into Achilles' back line. In the center, the Minotaur sees his chance to bowl through the smaller attackers and engage Achilles, but quickly finds himself surrounded by spears, all attempting to fight him. But the Minotaur is not easily intimidated, and in his rage, not only does the 2-bladed axe find hits on Achilles, but on any enemy Achaeans that are within the reach of the weapon. Hector, having focused his commands and attention on the left center, now sees Achilles struggling against the ferocious attacks of the Minotaur and runs to take advantage. Striking Achilles with a ray of light to engage in a duel, the most intense but short fight of the battle takes off. With Achilles already weakened, Hector has little difficulty finding an opening as Achilles turns around, leaving him wounded on the battlefield and continuing to fight the troops side by side the Minotaur.
I'll do it! Ares shield me! As commanded! I'm on it!
Until the man bull is cut down at last by the Achaean spearmen. While Hector and his men are somewhat holding the Trojan center and right flanks, the Myrmidon made quick work of the Trojan spear fighters, and even the next wave of Trojan defenders thrown at the flank to buy any amount of time possible. Left in reserve for crucial times just as this one, Hector's Trojan and the champions of Troy placed themselves firmly between the Myrmidons and the Trojan back field, taking on the reinforced chariots that were tearing through the left flank.
Without hesitation! Strike true! So strike me!
But it is not enough for either side to gain the upper hand. Achilles' left flank collapses entirely thanks to the attacks by the Trojan defenders, but quickly after that, Hector's left center collapses as well under the weight of the Myrmidons and the champions of Phthia.
We obey! Enough!
As they turn to hit Hector and the troops in the center, Hector's chosen, attempting to flank the remaining enemy soldiers on the left, turn instead to counter the enemy's own charge. No sooner do they engage in battle than the center falters and breaks completely, leaving Hector surrounded by Achaeans.
They will pay! I'll do it! Strike true!
Yet, word has spread that Achilles has fallen, and the Achaeans quickly lose heart and rapidly rout from the battlefield. In a now small glimmer of hope, Hector and his troops are gaining the upper hand, but that doesn't last for long.
In good
The Myrmidon swordsmen on Hector's left flank that have slaughtered hundreds of Trojans are trapped and exhausted, yet still unbreakable. It's a fight to the very last man.
Show no fear!
And as that fight wears on, neither side retains advantage for long. Units rout and come back, desperate for that one charge to turn the course of battle.
Off to glory! March on! Onward! Get there! Of course! As commanded! Strike true!
This goes on for what seems like an eternity, until the last Myrmidon is finally cut down, surrounded by Hector himself and the last of the Trojans on the battlefield. Hector and his Trojans had won the battle at last. For the thousands that lie dead, scattered on the beaches in front of Troy, death came swiftly and mercifully. But for those that remained, it was the very beginning of what would be a decade-long war, claiming countless more lives for both Achaeans and Trojans. Thank you for watching this narrative battle on the first battle for Troy. Everything you just watched was part of the Total War Saga Troy demo event I was fortunate enough to be a part of. All content in this video is a work of progress and obviously does not represent the final product. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it the old thumbs up and or subscribe to the channel. Videos such as this one are in large part created with the support of my patrons, so find out ways you can support the channel through Patreon by checking out my page, with benefits like receiving early access to non-embargo videos. Thanks for watching. This is Havoc. Stay tuned for more Total War Troy content, and I'll see you in the next video.